Today I thought I'd answer a few of your questions that have come through my social media. People have been commenting on my posts and sending me emails. Okay, and the first question from Tim, who's from Brisbane in Australia. So hello Tim from Brisbane in Australia. I've been following you for a while and I just wanted to know if you're a narcissist. Well, Timothy, funny you should ask that. No, I'm not. I don't know where he got that idea from. I'm not a narcissist. No, I'm not. No, I'm not at all. I am not. I don't think I am at all. And Timothy's second question is, and is it possible to love yourself too much? I don't think that's possible. It's important to love yourself, especially with training and your health. So the answer to that one, is it possible to love yourself too much? No, it's not. So second question, hopefully this one's a little bit better, is from Michael, who's from New York, and he wants to know, what is the minimum effective dose for stretching? I know I need to do more of it, but I realistically don't enjoy it, and just wondering what I could get away with. So great question. Now this is dependent on a few factors. It depends on how systemically mobile you are, whether you're hypermobile or hypomobile. Now I'm assuming, because you're asking this question, you're hypomobile, so meaning that you are quite stiff. I have a term for calling all my clients who are on that side of things. I call them a stiffy, and the opposite, so yoga teacher, I call them a floppy. So if you fall into the category of a stiffy, and it sounds like, Michael, you are, if you're asking this question, I say you want frequency, but small durations, but multiple times a week. I'd say as a minimum 5 times. If you can do it every day, then you're going to get better results. But just incorporating some really targeted stretches, 3 to 4 stretches, coupled with foam rolling. Now I've done a video before on foam rolling technique, so if you look in my previous videos, you can show you specific techniques for foam rolling. But as for stretches, it really depends on what you're trying to improve. Just as a general stretch is the world's greatest stretch. So I'd always recommend that, and it's an active type of stretch as well. You're not sitting down. It's good for a warm-up as well. And another good one that I find a lot of people tired in this area is the Jefferson curl. And it's a great way to warm up. Hope that answers your question, Michael. And Michael's also got another one. He's got, how can I break the cycle of feeling bad about having let nutrition and exercise slip, which leads to more slipping? This is a common question that I get asked, and I have to work with clients a lot of times when they fall off the bandwagon, they come back after a holiday. The only way of overcoming this is just by taking action. Don't think too much. If you overthink it and you start procrastinating and worrying about, okay, I've eaten this bad food, I haven't exercised for too long, you're actually focusing on the negative aspect of it. Just start small. Start with bite-sized chunks. Don't necessarily worry about what's going to happen in 6 months' time, what you're planning for in 12 months' time, if you're trying to look good for next summer or your wedding or whatever it is you're trying to train for. Just focus on the now. So focus on what you're doing today and possibly tomorrow. I picked this tip up from Tim Ferriss, and he uses the example of when you're trying to get a new behavior or a habit, just start really small. And his analogy that he uses is flossing your teeth. All you need to do is set yourself a goal of flossing 1 tooth per night. Floss that 1 tooth. Chances are you've already done the hardest part, which is actually pick it up and put it in your mouth. You've flossed 1 tooth, and then all of a sudden you've flossed the rest of them. It's the same with your training. If you just emphasize the fact on getting to the gym that one time, but once you get that little bit of momentum, it'll carry you through. And the same can be said for diet. I find diet usually corrects itself once the training starts. And the final point there is act without thinking. Don't wait for the perfect day. Just start. Even if it's something small, just start with one little thing. Question number 4 is Julia from Melbourne. So hello, Julia from Melbourne. That's where I'm originally from. Love your content. Well, I love that you love my content, Julia. I've hit a plateau with my deadlift and I can't seem to get past the 90 kilo mark for 3 reps. FYI, I've been weight training for about 18 months now and I haven't been following a set program for the last 6 months. Any recommendations on how to overcome this? Now, you haven't given me a lot of information here, so it's hard for me to break this down. Like, I don't know your body weights, don't know particularly what training programs you're doing and how well you're resting and nutrition and all those sort of things. But assuming that that's all good, I think you're in a good place. If you've only been weight training for 18 months, you essentially fall into either a beginner or intermediate, depending on the programs you've been following. And which means the potential upside for you is far greater than someone who's been training for 5 to 8 or 10 years. Gains that you're going to get when you're a little bit more experienced are marginal, and your programming has to be a lot more intricate and has to be really targeted and focused. Because you're at the 18-month mark and you haven't actually been following a training program for the last 6 months, chances are just by following a periodized program, and make sure you don't fall into the trap of thinking more training is better, especially with strength training. If you're trying to bring up your deadlift, you're trying to bring up your bench press, you want to periodize it. You want to make sure you have rest periods. The biggest limiting factor with strength training is how well you can recover. It's not necessarily how many times you can get into the gym. So first suggestion is just follow a periodized program and make sure you follow it to a T. So when it says rest day, you want to actually rest. Secondly, you want to look at your technique. Now, if you don't want to go see a trainer, a book that I recommend to a lot of my clients to read and trainers that I know is one called Starting Strength by Mark Rippetoe. Really sort of basic book in terms of breaking down techniques. There's a few programs in the end of the book as well. If you're stuck with programs, you can follow those. They've got beginner and intermediate and advanced programs in for technique and understanding bar path and where the bar should actually travel on a deadlift is crucial. And just breaking down that actual technique and understanding what you're supposed to do can make a huge difference in your deadlift. I went from 120 kilos as my max dead to over 200 kilos in probably less than 12 months, which sounds like a lot, but it was technique and programming that got me there. If you have the money, then I would suggest going to see an experienced coach and someone you can see one-on-one, or you can check in with them online and send them videos. And you never underestimate the trained eye of a coach. I've worked with many coaches before, and I still continue to work with coaches up until today. And I've been in the industry for over 15 years now, and I see value in other people assessing my technique. So I hope that helps, Julia. Now, fifth and final question, we've got Reese from Geelong. Do you have any natural remedies to get a better night's sleep? I don't want to buy or take any supplements. I have several remedies that you can try that don't necessarily have to buy supplements. First, no caffeine in the PM. So cut your caffeine off. A lot of people roll their eyes at this one, but there is a half-life with caffeine between 5 to 8 hours. Try and go to bed at the same time every day. You want to get in your circadian rhythm. I generally recommend no eating within 2 hours of going to bed. Another one is sleep in a completely dark room. No mobile phones or screens 2 hours before bed. That is a huge one. Now, if you can't live without your mobile phone or your computer or your laptop, I suggest getting an app called Lux. You can Google that and you'll find it online, and it changes the hue of the screen, changes the color spectrum, and it only emits like an orange, like a warm type light. The opposite of that, which your normal screen will emit this blue type of light. This light will affect your melatonin production, and it will suppress this and will actually affect your night's sleep, your ability to get to sleep, but also to stay asleep. As for natural remedies, I recommend a spoonful of nut butter, whether it's almond, Brazil, cashew, or macadamia. Having a tablespoon of that before you go to bed helps to stabilize your blood sugars, which helps with your sleep, but it's also high in magnesium, which is going to help for a better quality sleep. Another natural remedy is tart cherry juice. Now, you probably have to look this one up online, but if you can find a health food store that sells tart cherry juice, which is high in melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, and it's naturally occurring in that, so it's a natural remedy, you can try that. And lastly, eat foods that are rich in tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid which is a precursor to serotonin. So making sure that you eat foods that are rich in tryptophan can help. In tryptophan are turkey, hummus, and salmon. So try those natural remedies. Let me know how you go.